How comes? What do you see when you go to www.yaaka.cc/welcome? What do you see? Treasure, what do you see? Hello? Can someone tell us? David, what do you see? Do you have access to the content online on the site?
Teacher, I don't have access to the site.
Why? This is the second week running, third week actually. Why? When did you pay?
On Tuesday.
This week?
Yes.
Okay, I am going to communicate because basically I want you to have access, and that's what I want you to do, because you are going to read on your own. Okay, I want you to have access that you may read. What about you, Treasure? When did you subscribe? Treasure, when did you subscribe?
I'm in the place for Esther. She's not around.
Okay. That's fine. Okay. David, put your number here in the WhatsApp group. Put your number here in the chat so that we can get to you immediately when we drop off the call. The technical team will try to get you connected to the site. Can you do that? Hathi, you're welcome.
Yes.
Hathi, you are welcome. Hathi, you are welcome. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Hathi. Unmute and you speak. Yes. How far have you gone with the work that we started last time? Hathi, how far?
So I have been having network issues for the past 2 days, so it's taking time to access the site.
Can you say that again? You are breaking.
I have been having internet issues for the past few days. I'm not being able to access the site.
Have you settled the internet issues now?
Yes.
Okay. So when you settle the internet issues, when you get a chance, visit the site, go through the work. We have the first unit. The first unit is about punctuation. And under punctuation, we have the rules of capitalization. Now, the rules of capitalization tell us when and where to use capital letters. So you can see here, we are trying to show you when and how to use capital letters. Capital letters, one, are used at the beginning of sentences. For example, whenever you are beginning a sentence, you ought to begin with a capital letter. For example, Mokasa is riding a bicycle. So it would be madness for you to write Mokasa beginning with a small letter, because it is beginning a sentence. And every time we begin a sentence, we ought to begin with a capital letter. That's one. Number two, it is also used to write proper nouns and proper adjectives. Proper nouns are named people, names of streets, names of buildings, names of avenues, names of months of the year, names of villages, names of districts, names of countries. Those are proper nouns. Then proper adjectives are derived from proper nouns. Proper adjectives are derived from proper nouns simply because once you have a proper noun, you use the same to get the proper adjective. Okay. I didn't share your screen. Okay. You're welcome. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Okay. How far have you gone with your work? We're going through some work here together. How far have you gone? Unit, we need your report.
Okay, first wait.
Okay. Unit, are you still there?
You're meaning the one of tenses?
The one about, did you finish punctuation? Unit, have you done punctuations?
No.
Yes, Lynn, not yet. Okay, now let's go through punctuations. Lynette will show us. So I was writing in English are proper nouns and then proper adjectives. I gave you some of the examples of proper nouns. The information is of them, even days of the week, and then names of people, names of streets, names of buildings, names of avenues like Acacia Avenue, Mapera Building, William Street, names of people like Andrew, Lynette, Hathi should be written with capital letters, okay? Then we have titles apply to particular persons, like the district education officer, His Excellency, the President of Uganda. We have titles of books, poems, plays, except for conjunctions and prepositions. Now, when you're quoting a title of a book, even in your comprehension exercise, sometimes they ask you, what is the title of the poem? What is the title of the poem? You need to look at the title of the poem. Les Mokasa goes to school. If it is like that, then it will be, the M will be capital, the G will be capital, and even the S for school will be capital. That's the rule of punctuation. And even quoting titles of poems, titles of passages, titles of books, that's how we quote them. If it contains if it contains a conjunction like and, like in, those ones are not supposed to be capitalized. So when you have such a title that contains a conjunction or an article or a preposition, those three parts of speech are not capitalized in the quotation. Then to begin direct speech, every time you begin a direct speech sentence, you should open the quotes and then put the a capital letter. Then whenever you're writing pronoun I, it is always in the capital. And then we have examples of like the Holy Bible, Agony, Wuthering Heights. That is a title of a book. Junior English Composition and Grammar, that's the title of the book, which is supposed to be quoted using a capital letter. And then we have writing names of streets. We have finished that, like Benichwanuka Street, Chemathe Avenue, words related to deity. Deity is godliness. If you're writing words that are related to godliness, then you ought to capitalize them. For example, the Holy Trinity, God the Almighty, Christmas, Jesus Christ, etc. Then if you're writing titles of songs, titles of newspapers and journals, you need to begin with a capital letter. For example, the New Vision, the Uganda National Anthem, the Tubonga Nawe songs, such way when you're writing titles of songs, titles of newspapers, titles of journals, you begin with capital letters. We have this exercise here. I think we went through it the other day. You click here and you listen to the instruction, and then you write the sentence while punctuating it well. December every year. Like this. I'm going to play it once again. Christmas is celebrated in December every year. So like that sentence is, Christmas is celebrated in December twice a year. So you come here, write what you have heard while punctuating it very well, then you finish that. Then we have writing in short form, like mistress. I think Lynette did this. I remember receiving this. Dr. Namely is Viz, V-I-Z. Oh, I hope you get that. Viz, when you write the short form of namely is Viz, you write V, I, and Z. Let me pause and allow anyone who has a question to ask. If you have a question about what we have studied so far. Okay, there are no questions. Let's continue very fast. So we have these punctuation marks must appear at the end of the sentence. So we have what we call the end marks in English, the end marks. These are the punctuation marks that appear at the end of a sentence. For example, the full stop, the Americans call them periods. So if you want, you can call it a full stop. If you want, you can call it a period. So in American English, it is called a period. In British English, we call it a full stop. Then we have question marks. We have the exclamation marks. So those are the three marks that are put at the end of the sentence, and they are given a general name, end marks. End marks. So I beseech you to watch that video. So here we have the use of full stops or periods. They are used at the end of the declarative or a statement, whether negative or positive. It doesn't matter whether the sentence is positive or negative, as long as it is a declarative sentence. It declares something. There, you ought to use a full stop. For example, I am going to the well. After that, you ought to put a full stop. Someone is not seeing my screen. Lynette, can you see my screen?
Yes.
What about you, Hathi? Can you see my screen? Hathi? Okay. I'm going to stop sharing and I share again because Treasure cannot see my screen. Okay. Let me just stop sharing and I share once again. Treasure, what about now? Can you see it now?
No. Yes.
Yes?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, please. Okay.
I can see the screen.
Okay, that's fine. So we have periods. Periods, I've told you, in American English, they are called periods. In British English, they are called full stops. So they are used at the end of a declarative sentence. As long as a sentence declares something. I have given one example. I am going to the well. You've declared that you're going to the well. Therefore, that is a declarative sentence. So it is supposed to end in a full stop. You should be careful. Even when you're writing in English, you must ask yourself, which end mark do I need for this question, for this answer, for this statement? If it is a declarative sentence, therefore you need a full stop. If it is an exclamatory sentence, you need an exclamation mark. If it is a question, you need a question mark. Okay, so we have examples of declarative sentences here. Number 2, when we are writing initials of people like JB Warusimbi, there we shall need we shall need a full stop. For example, if we are to write Lynette Nabalayo Martha, and we want to abbreviate, we want to shorten Lynette Martha. So we shall write L full stop M full stop Nabalayo. I don't know if that is the way you pronounce your name, Lynette. Is that the way?
Yes.
Yes. So that's how we ought to write it. L full stop N full stop Martha. So those are the initials. If they ask you to write your initials, you will certainly write L full stop M full stop N full stop. So when you're writing initials, we need those full stops. Then when you're writing abbreviations like Dr., Mr., I hope, Lynette, you saw that. I sent that to you. You could write DR and you don't put a full stop. When you're writing those truncations, you need a full stop at the end of each word that you have abbreviated. Then abbreviation with the first 2 or 3 letters representing a particular word like avenue for ave. For when you're writing ave for avenue, then you need a full stop. ST for street, Feb for February, etc. for etc. It is also used in writing emails and addresses like www.yaaka, that dot is a full stop. .cc, that dot is a full stop. It is also used at the end. Okay, these are now question marks. Is there anyone with a question regarding the use of full stops? Is there anyone with a question regarding the use of full stops in a sentence? No one. Okay, Lynette.
Yes.
Do you have a question?
No.
What about you, Hathi?
No.
But have you understood?
Yes.
That's good. Okay. So let's continue. We have question marks. Question marks are used at the end of a direct question. Mark the word direct. It should be a direct question, not an indirect question. When you're writing direct questions, you end in a question mark. What is your name? How old are you? Where do you live? Are you hungry? Such questions, direct questions, end in question marks. Questions are also known as interrogative statements. So that is clear. We have declared sentences and interrogative sentences. The word interrogative comes from the word interrogate, which means to ask questions. So even when you're writing question tags, you need question marks. Like, she is clever, isn't it? I am tired, aren't I? She is clever, isn't she? So when you have those question tags, you need question marks. It is also used to ask rhetoric questions, questions that have obvious answers of either yes or no. Those questions are called rhetoric questions. Isn't water necessary for life? Yes, of course. So even if you can, every time you write a rhetoric question that has a definite answer, you need to end in a question mark. Can you match God's glory? Definitely not. So those are question marks, and that's how we use them. They are not so complicated. And then we have exclamation marks. They are used at the end of an exclamatory sentence. An exclamatory sentence is a sentence that expresses surprise, wonder, joy, anger, shock, amazement, or any strong feeling of emotions. So it is used to show that the writer or the speaker feels strong about something. So we have such those exclamatory sentences. If you're writing to express how big something is, then you are writing an exclamatory sentence. If you're writing to express how sad you are, then that is an exclamatory sentence. So if an exclamatory sentence is written as a direct speech, the exclamation mark is kept on the end and it is not replaced by a comma. It is used with exclamatory words like wondered. Yeah. For example, oh, alas, wow, oh, Allah, what, how? So such words are exclamatory. When you step on fire, you are like, hula, or oh my God. So you are exclaiming, but don't use oh my God because it is not good. So we have here how different words are used. The hulo, or when do we use hurry? When do we use when do we use alas? And so many others. So you will read in your free time and you'll understand. So let's get to these two because these two are very much examinable at your level. We have how and what. Let's start with what. This one requires an article or any with a singular subject, only with a singular subject. When you're talking about a singular subject, you know, subject is that person, that thing that we talk about in a sentence. So, like, what a polite boy this is. What a polite boy he is. What an ugly man you are. But when we are writing with plural subjects, so here the subject is boy, here the subject is man. That's why in the first case we have are, and in the second case we have any, because they are singular subjects. But when we are writing about plural subjects, then we can drop those articles and we say, what smart children those are. Okay, and then we have how. This one does not require any article or a common noun. So here the common noun is boy, here the common noun is man. So when you're writing with how, we don't need a common noun. We shall simply say how pretty she looks. How hot is it for me to have a walk? How busy you are. We don't need a common noun. Now, note that when you are using how as an exclamation mark, as an exclamation, we don't use articles and the and. So here there are some sentences that you can try on your own in your free time. They are there. You will even find them in your assignment. So is there anyone with a question? I don't want to leave you behind. Anyone with a question? Okay. Commas. A comma is used to separate a statement from a question tag. That's one way that we use a comma. We separate the original statement from the question tag. For example, where are you? We are going home today. That is a statement. Now we want to add a question tag. Therefore, to separate the two, we can use a comma and we say, aren't we? Definitely, we cannot put a question tag directly after the statement. We need to separate the two. Now, also a comma is used to separate a speech tag from a question tag. Like she said, where are you going? Now, the speech tag from the actual words can also be separated using a comma. You learn that when you start learning about direct and indirect speech. You learn the reporting verb, the actual words, and the speaker. So the reporting verb and the actual words are separated from the reporting verb and the speaker are separated from the actual words using a comma. Then you introduce the quotation marks. It is also used to separate a relative clause from the main clause. You have done relative pronouns in primary 5. You know what we are talking about here. Then it is also used when we are writing addresses, salutations, and superscriptions in letters. For example, an address like Vision for Africa Primary School, you put a comma. PO Box 675, you put a comma. Mokono, you put a full stop. Then you're writing a salutation like dear sir or madam, there is also a full stop, rather a comma. Then when you're writing superscriptions or the complementary clauses, you also indicate yours faithfully, you put a comma, or yours sincerely. Then commas are also used in sentences with direct speech to indicate a pause between the words spoken and the rest of the sentence. So here you take your time and read through the things. Even in mathematics, we use a comma while writing figures of more than 3 digits. If you're writing 1 million, definitely you write 1, you put a comma, you put 3 zeros, you put another comma, and then you put another 3 zeros to indicate that you're writing 1 million. It is also used to say, it is also used after yes, no, well, and please, if other words are to follow in a sentence, like, please, may I have it? No, you cannot get it. Yes, I agree with you. Well, I'll see what I can do for her. So when you're writing such things. So you have an activity here of inserting commas in the following sentences. Like, although he worked hard, he did not get any promotion. That is a subordinating clause, which when used at the beginning of the sentence, you separate the subordinating clause from the main clause. So we have the semicolons. The semicolons are the full stop and the comma in the same line vertically. The semicolon tells the reader to pause a little longer than a comma, but not at the level of a full stop. So when you're writing, one thing, when you find a semicolon in a sentence, you pause longer than a comma and shorter than a full stop. It is used to separate two main clauses, especially those joined by a conjunction, like nevertheless. When you're writing nevertheless, we use semicolons. Children were shouting in the dining hall. It was difficult to stop them. So you pause longer than a comma, but shorter than a full stop. Children were shouting in the dining. It was difficult to stop them. I hope you can grasp the way I'm pausing and using it. Before words like consequently, thus, nevertheless, furthermore, moreover, besides, whenever you use such words in a sentence, you need to follow them up with a semicolon. He is poor, nevertheless, he is honest. Between two closely connected clauses or with the matter that follow. So we have those. There was no cloud in the sky. It was extremely hot. Yes, so we have a colony. A colony is full stop, vertically. The semicolon is full stop, comma, vertically. This punctuation mark shows that something is to follow. It is used to introduce the list of items, especially with words like following or as follows or including or such words that introduce a list of other things. Okay, so like go to the kitchen and bring me the following: a knife, a saucepan, onion, tomatoes, etc. So when you're writing a list, when you're introducing a list of things, you need a colony. When you're writing reasons in the letter, when you're writing time, like 8:30, the hours are separated from minutes using a semicolon. Like 4:15, there you will separate the hours from the minutes using a semicolon. When you're writing ratios, 4:3, you still use the full colonies. We have quotation marks here. Quotation marks are used, they are also known as inverted commas or speech marks. In P1, P2, we call them speech marks. When we grow, we start calling them quotation marks. Why are they called quotation marks? Because they help us to quote. The word quotation comes from the word quote. They introduce actual words said by a person in a direct speech. Like the teacher said, you are going to learn about punctuation marks. So the only issue here is that the Y is supposed to be capital. Okay, so we have a dash. A dash is used to show that a sentence was not completed because it was interrupted by another speaker. Mr. Chairman, I want to educate the Honorable. Point of order, Chairperson interrupted the flow of the speaker. So to break a sentence in order to give or add something, you use those dashes. The president, and he's right, does not support corruption in the country. So that's how we write dashes to show that the sentence was not complete, it was interrupted. Then we have hyphens. Hyphens is shorter than a dash. It is used in composite or compound words, words of more than one word. For example, mother-in-law, there you need hyphens. Well done. A three-legged stool, there you need dashes to combine one or two or more words to form one word. Passerby, commander-in-chief, teacher on duty, and others. Even when you're writing figures that are below 100, like 35, there you need a dash. 67, you need not a dash, you need a hyphen. Then you have apostrophe. One new thing you need to know about hyphens is that they can come in a sentence and they leave. In the word email, 10 years ago, it would be not so good for you to write the word email without that hyphen. Right now, they can write email without the hyphen. We have an apostrophe. An apostrophe is used to show omissions or contractions. When you omit some letters in a word, you can use an an apostrophe to show that you've omitted a few words. Also to contract, like will not can be contracted as won't, cannot can be contracted as can't, I have as have, and I am as am, I'm. These two need to be corrected. I'll correct them. Then also to show possession, ownership, or belonging, like the teacher's table, Lynette's watch, Hathy's book, you need an apostrophe. So we have the brackets or the parentheses. Those ones are used to give you extra information or a comment, like Mr. Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, then the president of Uganda wants to meet the members of parliament. So if you want to bring extra information about Mr. Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, you can use the brackets. The word parenthesis is American, is used in American English, but the British English recognizes brackets. Then we have the dots or the ellipsis marks. Still the dots is English, British English, ellipsis is American English. Why do we use them? Because we want you to get the variety. Ellipsis marks, they are used to indicate that certain words have been left out from a sentence or a text. They are very common for children who rewrite sentences. That's section 2 of English. They will tell you, rewrite the sentence beginning ellipsis when ellipsis, like that. Then we have a slash or an oblique. Then we have the exercise here. So after that, there is an assignment here for you. Now we have gone through that, but I don't think it is enough. You need to go back and study each letter, each word very well, so that you can come and attempt the assignment very well. I want to find out whether there are questions about punctuation. That is the first topic of primary 6. Yes, and it is very important for everyone because it introduces us to writing. Yes. May I find out whether there is a question?
No.
Okay, there are no questions. Lynette, do you have a question?
No.
Hathy?
No.
When do I expect, when should I expect you to submit this assignment? Let me start with you, Lynette. Lynette, when do you hope to submit the assignment? Lynette?
Yes.
When do you hope to submit this assignment? The assignment doesn't have enough time. I am going to extend the timing on the assignment today. Hathy is saying in the next few days. Let me hope few does not exceed the end of this week, Hathy. Hathy, it should be the end of this week, okay? Hathy? Okay. Okay, thank you so much. If there are no questions, please take time, read. If there is something you don't understand very well, feel free to call me. Feel free to ask on the WhatsApp group. We shall be at your service.
One of the things that always happens, work with technical experts such as yourself.
Bye-bye. See you, Lynette. See you then. Treasure, greetings to Kaitesi. Hathi, we shall meet again very soon to discuss, to go through preposition and others. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And
Haman, you can end the meeting. We have concluded. Connect.